Okay, we are going to be looking at Chapter 6 word problems now, okay? And so there's going to be 4 steps to our word problems. We're going to define variables, and we're going to be specific when we do it. We're going to write a systems of equations, and that means we're going to write at least 2, okay? We're going to solve it, and we get to solve it using substitution or elimination. You could graph them, but we know that that's not going to give us an exact answer every time. And then our final part will be we'll interpret the solution using a complete sentence. All right, so looking at the first example here, the sum of 2 numbers is 62. Their difference is 8. What are the numbers? Now, a lot of times the comma or even a period, we'll kind of look here maybe a little bit later on a different example, but a period will tell you that, look, here's one equation, comma, period, and then here's your second equation. So now when you're defining variables for a problem like this, it's not going to be real fancy because you're just looking for 2 separate numbers. So we're going to just define variables as x, and we're just going to call that our first number, and y is going to be equal to our second number. All right, so now, since I said comma, I'm only going to look up to the comma here. And it says, sum of 2 numbers is 62. Now, this word sum, we should know what that means. That was review from back at the beginning of the year. Sum means addition, okay? So we're going to add up the 2 numbers. X plus y equals 62. All right, we're going to go to the second part now, after the comma. Okay, the second part here, their difference is 8. Okay, again, the word difference is something that we should recognize, subtraction. Okay, so then your second equation here, difference means subtract, so just take x minus y and equal to 8. Now, at this point, you get to pick what you want to do as far as solving. You get to use substitution or elimination. It does not matter. So in this case, it's set up perfect for elimination. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. And so since I'm using elimination, the y's will cancel out. Remember, it's addition. And we're going to have x plus x is 2x equals, and then 62 plus 8 is 70. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals 35. Okay, now you still need your second number. So you're going to take that and plug it back in up here. Okay, again, it doesn't matter which equation you plug into. So we've got 35 plus y equals 62. And we're going to subtract 35 off and get 27. Okay? All right, so now the last step here is we need to write a sentence. Okay? And in this case, like I said, this is kind of just a basic problem. You're going to say the first number, or you can say the numbers are 35 and 27. Again, nothing too fancy here because this is a pretty just basic problem. All right. Okay, so let's go down to the second example here. Okay, still the same 4 steps. So if the length of a rectangle is twice the width, comma, that should tell you something. Perimeter of a rectangle is 30 centimeters. What is the length and width of the rectangle? Okay, so again, what are we looking for? What's the question asking us to find? In this case, we are looking for, we are looking for the length and the width. So I'm going to go ahead, you don't have to always use x and y, you can if you want, but I'm going to use L for length, and I'm going to use W for width. Okay? All right, so now let's kind of go up here. Again, commas where I've got an ending point, so I'm going to go ahead and look at this part first. Okay, rectangle, so length of the rectangle is twice the width. Okay, now this is going back to early math here, like chapter 1 again. Just start breaking down your words. Length means L, is means equals, twice means 2 times, width is W. And there's your first equation. L equals 2W. Okay, all right, let's go to our second part here. So after the comma, and here it says perimeter of the rectangle is 30. Okay, so now you need to think about How do we find the perimeter of something? Oops, wrong one. How do we find perimeter of something? You're going to add up all the sides. So if you're thinking about a rectangle, right, you've got length, length, width, and width, okay? So if you're going to add up all the sides, you're going to have two lengths, so there'll be two L's and two W's, okay? Add up all the sides. And then we're going to set that equal to is 30, so we're going to set that equal to 30. So let's come back over here, put that with our other equation. So 2L, so two lengths and two widths added up will equal 30. Now, in this case, this particular problem is perfect for substitution. You already have an L equals, so go ahead and plug this in for the L. So I'm going to take this guy right here, and I'm just going to put it in. So 2 times 2W plus 2W equals 30. So then we've got 4W, because when you multiply, plus 2W equals 30. Add like terms. So 6W equals 30, and divide so your width equals 5. All right, so now you're going to plug it back into one of the originals. I'm going to be putting it right there. Okay, so if I look at this, length equals 2 times 5, so length equals 10. Okay, now we've got to write a sentence here, and labels are important. Okay, so when we're writing our sentence, the length is 10 centimeters and the width is 5 centimeters. And if you want to put something like the length of the rectangle, that's okay, all right? Just as long as you get the basic point down, but you do have to include labels, and you should include both of these in your final answer over here. Now, notice how we're not writing coordinate points. If you wanted to put like 10, 5, you can do that, but really that's kind of a waste of time because we are going to be writing the sentences, okay? So you don't need to do coordinate points on a word problem, on a real world problem, okay? All right, and last example that we're going to look at for today, number 3, okay? So it says there are 785 students in the senior class. If there are 77 more females in the class than males, how many males and female seniors are there in the class? Okay, so again, you remember me saying that a period or a comma often will tell you your first equation? Well, guess what? There is a first equation right here. Okay, so let's backtrack though. Let's go ahead and define our variables. So what are we looking for? We're looking for males and females. So I'm going to go ahead and put M equals number of males, and you could even put senior males if you wanted, and F equals number of females. Okay. All right, so come back up here and let's look at our first sentence. It says there are 785 students. That's total. So who's making up the 785? Well, the males and the females are. So we're just going to take M plus F, males plus females, and set it equal to 785. Okay. All right, so now let's look at the second part here. Okay, now this is just a touch more trickier. Okay, it says there are, you know what, let me zoom back out here just a little bit farther. Okay, so on the second part here, it says that there are 77 more females in the class than males. Okay, so now if you've got 77 more of something, I like to just think of it as a subtraction problem, right? If you've got 77 more, that means you have to subtract to get 77 left over. So I'm going to write, I know it's subtraction, and I know that I have 77 left over. Now, what we have to be super, super cautious of is it's important on which number we put first on subtraction. Addition, F and M are interchangeable, not a big deal. But subtraction, the placement is really important, okay? So what we need to make sure we do is in this first position right here, we need to make sure that we are putting the biggest number, okay? So in other words, who has more? So let's go back and look. So it says there are 77 more females. So in this particular problem, I'm going to put females first, minus the males because there are more females, and that's going to give me 77 people left over. Now, this is almost set up. Oh, wrong one. This is almost set up for elimination. The problem is we don't have things lined up. So if I'm looking at this, I can't change the order of subtraction, but I could change this around to F and M. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make it F plus M instead. And the reason I'm going to do that is so I can eliminate. And then I'm going to keep the bottom equation the same because, again, addition doesn't matter, so I can switch that around. Now I've got this perfectly set up to do elimination. The M's will cancel out. I'm going to add up the F's, so I have 2 F's equals, let's see here, 785 plus 77. We get 862 there. And then we're going to divide that by 2 and get females is 431. Okay, so again, take it, just plug it back into one of the originals. It's up to you. So 431 plus males equals 785. So now I'm going to take the 785 and subtract off the 431, and I find out that there are 354 males. Okay, all right, so now we're going to write our sentence. Okay, so there are 431 females and 354 males in the senior class. Okay. All right. That concludes our notes for our first section of word problem notes. What I want you to do now is you're going to flip over on the back side. Flip over on the back side, and what I want you to do is just define variables and write equations. I don't actually want you to solve any of these out right now. I just want you to come up with the equations and define the variable, okay? And that concludes our notes for word problems for Chapter 6.